from Studio 1A in Snowflake Village. You're listening to Pod Bless Kentucky.
All right, welcome to the show this week. Yay! Okay. So we are in week 18 of the Trump presidency. Today
I
is...
think I've seen baby elephants born faster.
I know. Today
or a giraffe.
is the 21st of May. So we've got quite a bit that's happened since we've talked a few days ago.
God.
I mean, we have an independent counsel. We have an independent counsel doing research on any kind of collusion with the Trump campaign and the Russians. So we'll be talking about that. Some other things that have been happening. There's been our fearless leader.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. He is on a field trip. He's on a field trip to Saudi Arabia, where he's going to teach them about Islam.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. Thank you for bringing that up. President Trump is speaking in Saudi Arabia, and as well as making a large deal for the United States with the idea of jobs. Yeah.
Well, he signed a large arms deal.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that as well.
$110 million arms deal that also landed his daughter $100 million into her
company.
Stupid ass foundation that pays mostly for salary.
Yeah. But we'll be talking about that.
The wrong business.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about some of the stuff that's happening here in Kentucky with Governor Matt Bevin and his multiple Twitter accounts. And
he has more than one. Boy, I'm behind the times on this.
Oh
yeah.
Yes, he does.
Well, now, I saw that he has an official one, and then he's got one that's his, one as the governor,
Right.
And then he's got one on his own. Do you have more than that?
I believe.
No, he has. Those are the two.
Those
he has.
two,
Okay.
but they are delightfully different.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we'll be talking about that as well. So welcome to Pod Bless Kentucky this week. All right, we're in with Dana.
Hello.
And Sunny.
Hey.
And all right, so starting us off this week, and as usual, we are sitting around with a few brews and looking at what kind of alcohol you might want to drink through the week.
Oh my God.
This week, we'll be starting off with our shots of vodka all the way up to, hey, pass me that bottle. I got to get this out of the way.
Pretty much this whole week has just been one bottle of vodka after another. I can't even. It has been undescribable amount of shit drops. I don't know what would you call it?
I mean, you just never know when it's going to come because you wake up in the morning, you turn on the news, and you're just like, oh my!
It's
palm
worse than
to
that.
the forehead.
It's worse than that. I have the AP Wire, and I have CNN, and I have something else that's hooked right to my phone. So
I have
every
the Hill,
time
too.
in the Hill, I have the Hill, but the Hill doesn't. For whatever reason, it doesn't send me the alerts like the other ones do. And for a few days, it felt like every 5 minutes it was going whoosh. It was making its little not email, but its little drop of
Well, I'll
shit.
just reserve us all spots at Betty Ford.
Yeah. So, all right. So what's happened? What's first? What's our first shot for the week?
Okay, so our first shot of the week comes with the Turkish president. Anybody
I feel
know
like
how
she
to
needs
pronounce
a
his
drum
name?
roll for this.
Oh, I've never figured out his name. Erdogan.
Erdogan? I don't know.
Maybe.
Recep
Erdogan.
Tayyip. It's Recep
Anyways,
Tayyip,
he started out the week, and he paid, we started out the week with him paying Trump a visit. And this is the same guy, mind you, that convinced his entire country to make an amendment and further his powers. So basically, his entire country voted him in as a dictator, right?
That's usually how it starts.
Well, but they actually willingly did it. They were excited about him having his powers increased and his ability to stomp out
Any kind of
dissonance.
wow.
Any kind, right?
Wow.
And they were excited. And Trump, we know, this is the kind of person that Trump admires.
He admires
does.
this kind of personality and dictators and being able to control the people
The
that they
mass,
govern.
yeah.
Absolute power. That's what it is.
Absolute power. He very much does. So one of the big things that Erdogan, the Turkish president, one of the things that he's really into is they have the similar philosophies, right? And both he and Trump really like this violence against protesters. We do know that Trump would, during his rallies, during
His campaign, he would encourage people who came to his campaign to get that guy out of here. Or when back in the old days, they would leave on a stretcher,
Right.
and incite that kind of speech and the derogatory towards any kind of contention towards
But
what
for the
he was
most
saying.
part, on our American soil, these kind of things haven't happened. I mean, okay, yes, we had Kent State. We've had a few other riots.
And that's
where
the great thing
things
about the
got out of control.
Constitution. The Constitution gives us that right as
It
free
gives
speech.
us the right to free speech, to protest, to demonstrate peacefully. Yes, there are times it definitely gets out of control. But we've never has it been allowed to, the leader to say, get him,
Well,
sick him.
yeah, his envoys just went out there and pummeled people. I mean,
Right. And Aragon, there's actually video. I keep calling him Aragon, and that's like
That's Lord of the
totally
Rings.
different. It's totally different. But that's every time I look at his name, that's what I see, which is probably why I just can't say it. But there's actual video of him directing his goons.
Yeah, and supervising the
They broke out people's
violence.
teeth.
Yeah.
well, now the Turkish president is going to be covered underneath diplomatic immunity.
Correct.
Correct.
What
All
about
his
the
goons?
So are all the
So,
people who work
yeah,
for them?
his
Because I know
goons
that,
will
but
be
I
as
didn't.
well.
I didn't know if that
But
was for sure.
Here's the thing that pisses me off the absolute most. What has Trump said about it?
He hasn't denounced it at all.
Well, he hasn't said anything to my knowledge.
Absolutely
No.
nothing. He hasn't acknowledged it in the slightest. Now, I do believe, I'm going to say it's McCain.
Yeah, John McCain actually hit the news shows this morning, and his thing was look at what happened
Right.
on U.S. soil.
And It's on, technically it is on U.S. soil.
Right.
Yes, it
because
was.
it is the embassy.
It was across the street from the embassy also. It was not actually on embassy property.
Oh, I thought it was actually on the property.
No.
No, they were across the street
They
protesting.
were across the street. It was they were Kurdish, or they were protesting in the name of the Kurds. Specifically, the treatment that this president, not Trump, but
I do believe the large majority of them
But the Turkish
were
president.
actual Kurds.
of
Of Turkish
Turkish
descent.
descent, yeah.
But it was allowed, and nobody, to my knowledge, except McCain, has said a damn word.
Yeah.
Is bothersome to me. These people, they should be thrown out, and yet Trump,
He admires him.
he admires him. We'll get to the other part later, but yes. So that's our first shot.
That's our first shot.
That's our
Salute.
first shot. The next one. So it was kind of really hard when I started working on the news past to this. Everything was just, we used to say it's the shit you just cannot make up. You can't do it.
But that's turning into like almost every day.
I can't figure out how this is happening, honest. So the second shot of vodka goes to Mr. Flynn, in dishonor, of course. 10 days before Trump was sworn in as president, Flynn, being paid $500,000 by Turkey, why Turkey, again, stopped a military plan that was in the works already with Obama. So let me back up and let me.
So
The
before
Obama-
he was sworn in, he was making deals with the Turkish government to stop some type of military action.
Okay, so it reads the Obama administration had a plan to retake the Islamic State de facto capital of Raqqa, and it had been in the work for 7 months, and it involved the action was being strongly opposed by Turkey. Now remember, Turkey had been, I'm not going to say exactly our ally during the Cold War, but they definitely were not against us during the Cold War, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I had to make sure I have my history correct also. But so Turkey opposed it. The reason they opposed it is it was because it was a cooperation between the U.S. and Kurdish forces. The U.S. was going to arm Kurdish forces to help combat ISIS. Now, I don't know, do you guys know, they even have women in the Kurdish forces that are like a whole unit of women, and they are badass. Right?
Yeah,
So
they
some
have
of
Kurdish
these
special forces. We also have had a relationship with the Kurds through Desert Storm, through other military actions, because of
They're badass.
they are, and they are a group, a military force, as well as where they've needed our help from Iraq. We've supported them, and they support us.
Right. Yes. And the only reason that Obama's administration even went to the Trump transition team, basically, with this information was that they had to have Trump sign off on it because the entirety of the plan would not be executed until after Trump became president. Understood? So now you go back to Flynn, who is being paid $500,000
By the Turkish government.
by the Turkish government 10 days before anybody, we're going to put that in little quotes because
So he was being paid for his political influence.
exactly.
So
during this time.
basically, he's a lobbyist. I mean,
For
for
a-
Turkey,
for
for
a
a foreign government.
Foreign
so-
government,
yeah.
correct.
And he wasn't at the time placed into the cabinet, the presidential cabinet for Donald Trump because Donald Trump hadn't been sworn in yet.
Correct.
But he was part of the
But he
transition
also
team.
was not registered as that foreign agent.
But they were also aware that he was acting in that position.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, but
Well,
that
they-
comes later. They didn't.
Yeah,
They're
they
not
didn't.
admitting
They
to
didn't
it yet.
realize this until recently that he was getting this kind of money.
Supposedly.
I cry bullshit.
I do too. I cry big bullshit on that one. And that is also starting to come out. So Flynn, okay, so we know Flynn took money from Russia, or not Russia, Turkey. He did also take money from Russia, and so here comes our next shot. So way back in April, on the same day that the House Oversight Committee leaders announced that Flynn may have broken the law for not disclosing a $34,000 payment from RT, which is the Russian state-run television network that's actually in the U.S. Right?
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
There is.
We have a Russian propaganda.
Oh, yes, we do. You
Well,
didn't
God,
know that?
No, no wonder they know everything.
Well, don't you remember C-SPAN? Oh, shit. There was, they were doing a live
when
coverage,
C-SPAN went out.
and C-SPAN went out and RT started to broadcast over top of C-SPAN. Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, there was
But that's
like
not
20
surprising
minutes.
if anybody who knows me.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes during somebody's speech. It was like all of a sudden C-SPAN blinked out, but there was another station that it affected
And they
also.
were talking on Michael Flynn at that time. They were right in the middle of the conversation, and all of a sudden C-SPAN cut out, and RT popped in.
Wow, that's interesting timing.
Yeah.
Right? A little suspicious.
I wish it made noise when you rolled your eyes.
We need an eye roll sound effect.
Again, what on earth sound would that be?
Yeah, what kind of sound would that be?
Squishy.
Okay.
Okay.
Ew.
So, anyways, so on that same day that it was found out in April that he had done this.
Okay. So now he's getting money from Turkey and
So
Russia.
he's getting money from Turkey and Russia. Trump sent then former National Security Advisor a message to stay strong. Now, there's a lot of rumors swirling around about this particular comment.
Right.
But it also happens to be that this was when James Comey, was really finding out the nitty-gritty on Flynn. And so that's also, that same day is when Comey, says he's taking money, look. And it raises the additional questions and concerns that maybe the reported request to Comey to drop the FBI investigation on Flynn started, it really was full force. He really was working hard on this.
It was Yahoo News.
It was Yahoo News.
That reported that Trump told him to stay strong.
Yes, but there's no denying. Nobody in the Trump administration has said that didn't happen.
Wow.
Well, they're really quick to deny anything else. So
Yeah.
Well, that's the dumbest thing about most of this is they're not denying. They're not denying on a single page. Spicer will deny. Conway will deny.
She'll deflect.
She deflects. She denies, but it's never the same. Even in the same.
However,
the story changes.
The story is so bad.
McMaster, he
Oh my
will
gosh.
he
I
has
lost
no
all
problem
respect for him.
denying stuff, and he'll come out and say, "Oh, that's not true."
But not only did he deny stuff, he's telling a
creates-
totally different
yeah,
story.
he creates a new story.
Again, it's like just pick a lie and run with it.
Right.
Hey, folks, this is just a reminder that on Pod Bless Kentucky, these are our opinions.
Yeah, these are our opinions.
That's our disclaimer.
Once again, as we said last week, we are not the experts on this. We are not political experts in Washington.
Again.
We are three people sitting around a few microphones, drinking a few beers, and kind of discussing politics.
But my point is, if you're going to lie,
come up with something good.
come up not only with something good,
How about something believable?
but make sure everybody is on the same page telling the same damn lie.
Well, if you did that, you'd have to communicate with every person in your,
Oh my God, communication? Really?
What the hell? No, that's the large problem in all
if he
of
can
this.
send out a tweet, he should be able to send out a memo.
Well, come on. You and I both know this man thinks he is above everybody else. So he's only going to communicate with to whom he
Right.
deems
Twitter?
necessary. Apparently.
Because that appears to be his only mode of communication.
Well, it's like all this. Well, it's like his fake news crap. How many times can you say that over and over again?
I didn't even put this in there, but there is a rumor out there. Again, it's our opinion, but I remember him saying before the election that he was going to start up a TV network.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, that's
Well,
back
if
in
he
full,
had not won,
if he
he
hadn't
was
won,
going to be
but
looking into a Trump
according
TV.
to,
Or at least he had his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, looking into it.
it's actually looking back into it because they want to have an outlet where the truth can come directly from the president and not
And skip
from
the media?
and skip the media.
Well, two things. One, I thought he had Fox News in his pocket anyway, so what the hell?
They're
Well,
turning
then
on-
Roger Ailes, one was removed and then died.
Yeah.
But they're also turning on him. I don't know if you've
Well, some
noticed.
of them are. Some of them are still firmly entrenched on the Trump train, but
Right.
but
if you saw today, Roger Stone, who worked on his campaign and pretty much has almost sold him down the river because he has said things that kind of alluded to dealing with Russia. He saw the video of President Trump
Have you seen
in
the
Saudi
video?
Arabia receiving a large medallion.
yes, I have
And
seen the video.
to receive the medallion, he has to lean over
Because he's
and-
taller than the
because
other
he's
gentleman.
taller than the prince, and basically Roger Stone viewed that as bowing down
He didn't
to the
bow.
prince.
He curtsied.
Well,
if you would have seen it, he totally
and the
curtsied.
thing is that if I remember correctly, did not Trump give Obama shit for bowing
Yes, he
in
did
Saudi Arabia?
in 2015.
Not only did there's a tweet, right? Just
Yeah.
for proof. Not only did he give him shit for bowing, he gave Michelle shit because she didn't wear a headscarf, and that's offensive. And we already have enough
Enemies?
I drank too much.
Enemies.
already. Enemies. I didn't see Melania wearing a headscarf.
Okay, so I mean,
Neither did Ivanka.
Well, just for for everybody's information, women of a certain stature, especially anybody who's diplomatically there for diplomatic reasons, doesn't have to wear a headscarf. Most women choose to when they go.
Correct.
Just to as in when in Rome kind of a thing. But Michelle Obama did not on their last one because she didn't have to, and they didn't ask her to. And so they're not required to, but it would be really, really, really nice if the man didn't step in shit every day as, some type of hypocritical comment.
The interesting thing is Laura Bush didn't. Hillary Clinton didn't.
Oh, but they only give Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama shit.
Right.
They don't. Laura Bush and Melania, that's okay.
That's ironic. If you went and you were, sorry, Tom, some diplomat's wife, and you were there, or maybe you were the diplomat, even better, and you were dragging along your husband, you'd wear a headscarf, I'm assuming.
I would.
I would too.
I would
'Cause
just
it's respect.
strictly out of respect, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not required to.
No.
And I sometimes he needs to be hit with that,
The
pot.
stupid stick.
Yeah, well, I mean,
He hit the whole tree with him, and I don't think it'd do a
Well,
damn bit of good.
He spends his whole life pot calling the kettle black. I mean, he tends to forget he's the pot. I mean, there's a lot of things and not just the pot. But
Yeah.
it's just he refused to. At least according to his itinerary, he's refusing to go. I'm blanking on the name of the holy site.
Mosul.
Yeah, because he can't land his helicopter there, and nobody's allowed to land a helicopter there. It can damage
Right.
the area, and everybody takes a tram up. And the last two presidents took the tram up, so it is not a security reason that he's not going up there.
He's just being a scared little pussy.
Well, it's
Have you
not,
ever been on one of those? It's a cable car. that
Yeah,
goes
I've been
up.
on one, but it's not even that. I think it's more along the lines of I'm not doing that. I'm not going where the little people go. And
Right.
I mean, and on his itinerary, he's scheduled 10 minutes in the Holocaust Museum. 10 minutes. 10 whole minutes.
Wow.
I don't even know if you
Well,
can walk in the door there.
I will say this: the Saudis have met him. They've rolled out the red carpet for him.
I wonder how it's going to go in Israel.
Well, it all depends. It depends on this whole leaking information to the Russians or declassifying
That's actually next
information.
on our list. Shall we
Yay.
go on? So Trump revealed highly classified information to the Russian foreign minister ambassador. Now, let's go back just a touch. Because, well, no, we don't even really have to go back. We all know this Sergei Kislyak, right? Kislyak?
Kislyak. Yep. He's
He's
the guy who's got a laundry list of crap that they've been investigating on for months.
He's bad.
Long before, and that he's the one who is tied to Michael Flynn
He is
on the idea that Trump may loosen the sanctions once.
So he's the guy that they keep going back to and keep talking to. Correct. And it happens to be Kislyak that, according to the Washington Post, that Trump revealed this highly classified information to. And honest truth, let's all be honest right here, whether we like it or not, the president can reveal or can declassify information anytime he chooses of any level. It can be the highest of whatever.
And that was
He can.
that was put
No, he
in by
can.
President Obama in 2013.
He can. That doesn't mean
And
the
he
man
should.
uses good judgment.
Nope, this is true.
And especially when you allow Russian state-run television reporters in there, but you don't allow our press in there to find out what's going on.
Correct.
That is
highly suspicious.
Yeah.
So
I hope they sweat for bugs.
the biggest.
However, like we said, McMaster, he has his own opinion of what he saw, and this is what he
First,
told.
have a brief statement for the record. There's nothing that the president takes more seriously than the security of the American people. The story that came out tonight, as reported, is false. The president and the foreign minister reviewed a range of common threats to our two countries, including threats to civil aviation. At no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed. And the president did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. Two other senior officials who were present, including the Secretary of State, remember the meeting the same way and have said so. Their on-the-record accounts should outweigh those of anonymous sources. And I was in the room. It didn't happen. Thanks, everybody.
Except that.
He's
Except
trying to
that-
outrule anonymous sources.
Except that the Russian government, including Vladimir Putin himself, are bragging about how dumb basically Trump was for giving them all of this information. Okay, so we have Trump giving the Russians this information. So let's just back up. We know that it was totally legal because Obama allows it. That's fine. Totally legal. But who did he piss off? So
A lot of people.
It's like that kid who wants to be popular at school.
Exactly.
So they'll let you or the kid in your neighborhood, like nobody wanted to play with, so he would let them play with all of their toys so kids would come over.
And he had all of the best toys.
Yeah, so you wanted to go there because you wanted to play with the crap that your mom and dad wouldn't buy you, but he was still a little, so you had to put up with him so you could play with the toys?
Exactly.
That's what this is like. It's like, ooh, let me give you this, and who cares?
Except that, so it happens to be Israel that, who he's going to visit.
Mm-hmm. The one that he's refusing to go up to.
It happens to be their information that they shared.
That they possibly, because we're not 100% sure that it was the Israeli counter.
Even though Mossad has already said, thanks a lot, Dick.
Yeah.
Mossad basically admitted that that was their intelligence information. It was information about ISIS because they have infiltrated very thick into ISIS. And the information, the odds are pretty high on the list since Mossad. I don't know why you'd want to mess with Mossad.
Yeah, because,
They'll kill you and nobody will know.
Right.
It puts the people they've got there at risk.
A great deal of risk.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people did say that whoever it was that this information was about, they're dead.
Or who gave them that information?
Whoever gave them, yeah, right. They're dead. And
they worked so hard and so long to infiltrate those groups, and they have to do a lot of things that they
do not believe in.
Yeah, in order to, it's a greater good kind of thing, just like our CIA does, and just like, MI6 does, and every other
intelligence
agency in the world does. And he damaged that potentially.
He did, and he damaged it to the point where there are a few of our good
Our key
allies.
Oh, why the fuck would anybody tell us anything now?
They're
Very
not.
true.
I believe UK has said, there might be a chance we're not going to share information with you anymore as long as he's allowed to see it.
Loose lips sink ships, that's just the way it goes. And you just...
It's funny because
the
in
damn
some ways,
Titanic.
I find it very ironic that the Republicans are saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter how bad it is. It's the leaks that is what's the problems."
They keep the shit about these leaks.
You've got the King leak in the Oval Office telling the Russians exactly what's happening.
I was trying to think of a good analogy, but I couldn't even come up with something. It's like the Titanic. He has a mouth.
So what were some of the things that they discussed in this debriefing and that made the Russians feel a little more comfortable?
I don't know.
Because I know that he had said something about James Comey being gone.
Well, yeah. So, Trump, I think Trump knows that they're on to him. right? Mm-hmm. Especially Comey. He's been working on Comey, trying to get Comey to nix the whole investigation. And Trump literally...
he's giving pressure, possible pressure to end this investigation.
Okay. So he says to the Russians, and quote, let's see. Trump told the Russians that firing nutjob Comey eased pressure from the investigation. So according to, once again, Sergei Kislyak, the foreign minister, Trump reportedly said, "I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I faced great pressure because of Russia." That's all taken off. Shall we let that
That
sink
sure
in?
sounds like, what is this? Obstruction of justice.
Yes. I don't even...
And
I can't even wrap my brain around...
Well, he thinks that being president means you are... First of all, he doesn't even know what obstruction of justice is. You know, second of all, he thinks he is above everything because of where he is. He thinks it is a get out of jail free card, and that's what presidents get. They can do what they want when they want. He could criticize everyone that came before him, you know, but
I kind of wondered that, you know, so he has admitted that he does not want to be president, right?
he didn't expect to be. That was for
well,
sure.
and he didn't expect to be, but he also said he missed his old life. He wanted to go back to his old life, or he would love to go back to his old life, whatever.
But he sure does enjoy
The power.
the power, the pomp and circumstance.
Because he's all ego.
getting-
He's a narcissist.
Right, but I kind of half wonder if he thinks if he gets impeached and if he gets kicked out or if he's forced to resign, that he's going to be able to go back to this normal life.
I don't believe that. I really don't.
I wonder
No,
if
he'll
he
never be
does.
able
He
to go
thinks. I think he does. He thinks he's going to be able to.
I don't
do that.
think he wants to be impeached, and I don't think he wants to resign, because that to him would mean failure.
Oh yeah.
And so he
Well,
doesn't.
if he
want to
resigned, he could play it that he was forced, that he was being treated unfairly, and that
I was going to say he wasn't
that,
forced to
that
do
he
anything
could turn it
to
into a
Donald
winning
Trump.
situation for him. The part about all of this whole situation, and listening to conservative talk radio and other conservatives, and listening to their ideas of what is happening here, they look at that. Oh, this is not obstruction of justice because he was just giving his opinion, and that Comey was a nut job, and that he was incompetent, and things of that
My
source.
stomach hurts thinking about that.
However, they blow it off as just mere opinion, and that it wasn't that this, and they'd view it that it's not obstruction of justice. However, if you bring up the whole idea of what happened with the lying under oath, the perjury of Bill Clinton, they hold his feet to the fire all the way up to his
Where's
chin.
Wanker?
I mean, they
just
rake
a
him over the
blowjob.
coals. And if you want to compare, declassifying classified information from other countries, our allies that trust us to keep us out of harm's way and our soldiers out of harm's way, to something of a president receiving a blowjob in the Oval Office by an intern.
But to be fair, Hillary Clinton would have killed him.
That's true. I mean, she is a
I'd
very
lie,
powerful
too.
woman.
Anyway,
I mean, it was more of a personal situation back then, and that
it didn't do any harm. It did not put anybody but Bill Clinton in harm's
No,
way.
I mean, there are such things as personal matters. And, if he hadn't lied about it, I don't know what would have happened. I'm sure they would have found a way to impeach him anyway. They seemed Ken Starr seemed to rather not like him very much. So, I mean...
It was a blowjob.
One of the things...
and we all know he's not the first president to get a blowjob in the Oval Office. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Now...
No.
Not even...
Not
I
even
can think
close.
of at least...
3 that have had no...
Probably.
Yeah.
No.
There were many affairs in the White House.
Well, we know that there were affairs, but there were known affairs, like
Right.
blatant.
Now, the deal with Ken Starr, I mean, once they assign a special prosecutor for this, it is like putting on the attack dog who will not stop until they actually find something. Because if you remember, before there was this whole perjury idea and the Monica Lewinsky, it all started with a kind of thing called whitewater.
Yeah, Whitewater.
It had nothing to do with internships or.
I don't even remember what Whitewater was.
It was a
about.
real estate deal that went sour.
Right.
And they were trying to pin something on the Clintons, saying that they misappropriated funds or they didn't actually file taxes correctly, and that they were trying to cheat the government. But they couldn't prove any of that. So the Kenneth Starr just kept going.
But wait, it's
until
okay
he found
for Trump
something
to sell, basically money launder by selling his properties to Russians? That's okay?
I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, there will be something coming up because
I do not understand this.
Well, we're only halfway through the Russian stuff for this week. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Oh
and-
my gosh, the Russians, Russia. Russia.
I mean, you have to think. I mean, the one thing that's really driving me crazy that happened this week from Donald Trump was that he went over to Saudi Arabia this weekend and was telling our American people about bringing jobs back to the United States. That this whole trip to Saudi Arabia was about jobs. Well, granted, they were military jobs or actual building the military equipment to support Saudi Arabia and building arms. Now, what really busts my buttons on this is that
Bust my buttons?
yeah, bust my buttons is that
I love
he has been pushing. He also stated earlier in the week that he wanted Apple to return back to the United States to create the to build iPhones here
rather than China.
rather than China. Once everything was broken down, Apple was able to explain to him as saying even China is not lucrative to them anymore because they're starting to see unions build up. They're starting to the wages are changing and it's not becoming economical even in China. So they're looking at going to Bangladesh where they can get labor even cheaper. However, the one thing he's doing a great job at telling all these companies to come back. However, there's one company that he hasn't.
His own.
His own or his daughter's. I mean, that is really getting to me because we are looking at we're 4 months into his presidency and
not even an attempt.
Not even an attempt to bring his own companies back. So, I mean, is his priority on having companies come back and have jobs, or is it that he brings companies back without jobs because those companies would have to come back and increase automation?
And that's the thing, is if those companies come back, those jobs are still not going to be, there's not going to be a plethora of jobs like they keep saying that, oh, if we bring Apple back to the U.S., it's going to employ, I have no clue, but, it's going to employ 300 people. Well, bullshit. They're going to be lucky if they employ 5
or 6 people.
because it's going to be all automation.
Correct.
We have passed the point of the old Ford factories where there's 300 people on an assembly line. It's not going to happen anymore.
Well, it's all smoke and mirrors, and I mean it's the same way with the ACA or the AHCA. I mean, people act like we've talked about this before. They act like it's all going to go back to the way it was. That's not going to happen. It can't happen.
No.
You can't undo some things, and there is no magic wand to all of this. Mm-hmm. And, if he really wanted to bring jobs back here, if he really, really wanted to, he would set the example and do it himself.
Very correct.
Minus all of the automation.
Right.
And
right.
pay a living wage.
I don't disagree with you.
And I will drink to that. All right. We've done a little bit of drinking, and I'm going to take a time out, and we're going to talk about Blue Apron. Okay, and while you're drinking, you might want to eat some food, and there's no better food than Blue Apron. You can have enough food for 2 people or a whole family. Blue Apron is a delivery service of fresh ingredients that are pre-portioned and all ready for you. They even give you the recipe, and it's all great food. And it's all fresh, and you can make some delicious things like the pork mustard pan sauce with or Nashville-style hot catfish. Some of the delicious food you can get on there. And the best way to try it out is just by going to Pod Bless Kentucky, clicking on the link, and getting $30 off your first order of from Pod Bless Kentucky and Blue Apron. So if you'd like to give it a try, slip on over to podblesskentucky.com, click on the link, and set yourself up today.
And it just sounds like such a good idea, too, because I get so tired of trying to figure out what we're going to have for dinner and if it was already there.
And they make it so easy because everything's all planned out, and they've got this great recipe, and it's just all right there.
I love that idea. I love the idea of walking in the door and just being able to go in there and bam, and you didn't have to think a thing. You didn't have to shop for it. You didn't have to look for it. You didn't have to. It's just there.
And that's the great people at Blue Apron.
Brilliant.
Okay, we also have some great stuff coming up this week. I know that this weekend is the joint meeting between Together We Will, Indivisible Bluegrass, and you have the National Organization of Women and Our Generation.
And
Our Revolution. I'm sorry.
Revolution.
Why do I keep the folks at Our Revolution? I am so sorry, but we love you guys.
And
but
Together Frankfurt.
And Together Frankfurt is joining in. So, I mean, we have a large group, and that is going to be at the Unitarian Universalist Church this Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock?
2.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. They're going to have some guest speakers. You're going to see, you're going to have not representative, but Senator Reggie Thomas. You're going to have Mary Nishimutu.
Muta.
Muta.
Nisha
Oh, I
Muta.
can't wait to meet Mary because she's going to really correct me on
I was
this.
going to say, just so Tom can pronounce
Yeah,
your
so I
last
can
name.
start saying her name correctly. And then we're going to have
Shannon Stewart Smith.
Shannon Stewart Smith, who's going to be talking about Walk the Talk, the initiative of going out and finding out what from your neighbors is what they're looking for in a candidate, in what is important to them. And then we have a guest speaker. We have Celis Wilder.
Yes.
Alice Wilder, yeah.
Celis Wilder, who has had his own little blog, and he's done some podcasts as well. And I mean, he is.
Do you see how excited Tom is? Because we're actually.
I'm giddy with this.
We're actually taking Pod Bless Kentucky on the road for this, are we not?
Oh, that's right. So if you wonder how we do this podcast, make sure that you stop on by, say hello. We may even put you on the podcast and talk to you a little bit. And it's going to be
scared shitless.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, people are going to get to see what we have our own little dark lair that we have down here that we put together the podcast, but we're going to be taking the show on the road. It's going to be great.
I think we have to invest in some shirts for this.
Oh, we need shirts.
Oh, we'll see what we can do. We
shirts.
can try and get some shirts. We'll maybe try and get some bumper stickers or something as well.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, and we
That'd be
can
kinda
pass
cool.
it out to people.
Yeah. So definitely stop by, see us. We'll be at the joint meeting of Together We Will, Indivisible Bluegrass, Our Revolution.
Yay.
I got it right that time. And the Kentucky version of NOW, the National Organization of Women, and Together Frankfurt. I got them all this time. All right. So
use your
make sure
fingers.
you come by and see us. It'll be a fun time.
I think it's really, really great if you want to come out and get an idea of what all these different organizations are doing and how we're trying to organize together, because together we are a much larger force. We're not always going to agree on everything, but I think for the most part we do on the big stuff, and we have got to go out guns blazing on everything that we do. There's going to be some time to socialize. There's going to be other local organizations there also. Some refreshments, things like that you can stop by the tables and find out what everybody's got going on.
I have one very serious question.
Okay.
We're Pod Bless Kentucky, and at a Universalist Unitarian UU church, can't we have beer?
Oh, this will be the one time you'll be hearing from us
Sober?
sober
That's
this
why
time.
I said I'm scared shitless.
So
Sober?
Yeah, we can't do that. They're usually at a church. You're required to have security when alcohol is on the premises. So.
Right. But we'll have just as much fun, so it'll be good. We'll be around good friends. So make sure that you come out.
Don't come taste my tea.
Another big thing that's coming up on June 3rd.
June 3rd, the March for Truth, started by a couple of women in New York. They said, you know what, we've had enough of this bullshit. We want our truth. And it has blossomed exponentially. The Women's March, the people from the Women's March are actually on
they've
board
joined
with
in.
it now.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
That's a huge boost. It's actually international now. Also, I believe.
And
Brussels.
more important than that, you have
Lexington
Lexington,
is
Kentucky is on the
board.
list. And so they're going to be meeting at June 3rd at the Fayette County Courthouse.
Yep.
You have Indivisible Bluegrass and Together We Will are co-sponsoring this. And basically, they're protesting to have the truth be heard.
Right.
Because we're just tired of hearing all the crap and all the lies. Our forefathers would be rolling over in their graves for the amount of lies and deceit that has been happening within our politics today.
You expect politicians to lie. Politicians are politicians, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. But this it's out of control.
I expect that when they're campaigning. I don't expect it when they're in office. Once they're there, we're entitled to know. They're going to spin it, sure. But not flat out fucking lie, which is what's happening.
And I'm really hoping that with everything that's going on in the world today, that the politicians that are running and possibly will run will wake up and say, enough is enough.
Do you think Mitch McConnell has even begun to
if he's
let
not
it sink
willing
in?
to make the change, then there needs to be a change.
Well,
because if he can't tell his constituents the truth,
you can't even face us in a town hall.
Well, the other thing too is, along with the truth, they've got to stop discrediting the media. You just because it's not what you want to hear, it's not okay to say that it's fake when it's not. And I get it. They're surrounded by they've got so many leaks that they can't plug them up fast enough. There's a reason those leaks are there, because those people know that the United States, the American people, are being lied to. That's why they're doing the leaks. It's not
severely lied to.
Yeah, and they know it. And the thing is that it would be one thing. It's one thing not to say something, omit, okay, fine. They didn't tell us something, that's all right. But then to discredit what is given out and to make up things, and to deny, I think people are just to the point where
I do think we're going to go on, because I do think that things are starting to come out, because people we'll get to Comey later, but there are recordings. And they're starting to drop said recordings. And specifically, there's a recording with the majority leader and the House Majority Leader and his colleagues in 2016.
Paul Ryan?
No, not Paul Ryan. Well, Paul Ryan is part of it.
Oh.
But the House Majority Leader is Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, that's right, Kevin.
Yeah, he was at that time.
He was at the time.
Before Paul Ryan took on.
The Republican from California. And he and Paul Ryan, and then in the transcripts of this audio recording, it says unidentifiable voice. So they don't know who.
Deep throat.
Maybe. But they don't know who this third Republican, they assume it's a Republican. But they're discussing, and McCarthy it is McCarthy, I just had to make sure quick. Mm-hmm. McCarthy specifically says, I think Putin pays Trump. And instead of Speaker Ryan saying, shh, don't say that, he says things like, well, we're all family here, right? No leaks here, right?
So, now, this comes from the Washington Post, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in the recent days, the Washington Post has kind of put out a version of how this all went down. McCarthy, at the time, was the majority leader in the House of Representatives. and he basically pulled his caucus in, his Republican caucus, and they were talking about the different candidates and everything that was going on with Trump and the possibility of him talking to the Russians. And as a joke, supposedly, and this is where McCarthy said that it was a joke that went bad. And this is something that went really bad. Now, the question is that at first there were a lot of questions, because when this first came out, the Washington Post went to the majority leader and said, okay, you said this.
Explain
And he
yourself,
said-
Lucy.
And he said, no, I didn't say this. He said, no, didn't say it. And then they went to Paul Ryan, who was also supposedly in on this conversation. And he said, never happened. And then they went, well, we have a transcript of it. They were like, oh, well, it was said, but it was never really
the
supposed to be
backpedaling.
able to get. Yeah, they started
Exactly.
backpedaling a little bit. And then they were like, oh, it was a bad joke. So that's where it stands now, is what they're saying, that it was a bad joke taken at the wrong time. And
So, like, being grabbed by the pussy is also a bad locker room joke?
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, no.
I mean, that's what they're playing.
If it was a joke, then maybe you would have remembered it and said, oh, yeah, that was a bad joke right off of the bat, and say,
Right.
I didn't do
Now,
that.
Paul Ryan was very serious about the leaks, because he was saying that, yes, that, okay, this conversation never leaves this room. But
So see, this is my
There
problem
was a
with the
transcript.
right. This is, and maybe you two can help me here. They are
That's doubtful, but I'll
so
try.
concerned with the leaks. They are not concerned with Putin and Trump in collusion. That doesn't matter. What matters is
It's
that
the irony
somebody
that gets
ratted
me.
on them.
it's the irony, because when they were talking to Julian Assange, they look at Julian Assange as he is the great hope
The king
for him.
leaker.
Yeah, the king leaker that took down Hillary and Podesta, and that he is the greatest person, because it doesn't matter how he got the information. It was this information.
Right.
However, it was leaked information.
But see, that's what I don't understand.
And
Is they keep
excuse that,
counting
but come after every leak that's coming out of the White House.
So I think for this one, I kind of take it with a grain of salt, because we all say stuff that we joke about and just, and of course they're going to deny. I mean, that's what, their first deny,
But
I
you
mean,
also
that's
have
the
to
first
watch
rule.
where you say things.
Well,
If you're saying it in a caucus meeting that someone is taking notes,
right. Well,
that you're being recorded.
Well, it was totally stupid, but I mean, and who knows what the guy's intent was? I mean, I don't know what his intent was, and I mean, he may have thought he was making a really bad joke, and you're right, they could have played it off. They could have said, that was really stupid, and we were just horsing around, and no biggie, and it would have gone whoop, and it
Yep.
would have gone away. But because they said
It didn't exist.
happen,
yeah.
well, and I mean. Paul Ryan, I mean, well, we were all talking about people who aren't always real smart. Maybe he did forget. I mean, hey, the guy's got so many, I was going to say so many balls in the air, but that just has bad jokes with it.
We've been drinking too much for that, honey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those, I guess to me, it's neither here nor there. It's something somebody said, and they don't have any proof with it other than the conversation happened.
I do wonder how much of the audio they actually have. If the Washington Post has more, because like I always.
Oh, you wonder what else was said?
I do bitch.
Yeah.
I bitch about cherry picking. I really don't like it when somebody pulls something out of context and
Right.
says this is what they said. That I like to know the whole story behind it. So what was said after? What was said before? That would maybe help.
Yeah, why did that come up?
Decide.
Yeah.
That would help make that decision of what are you doing?
Yep.
To help make the decision, were they honestly joking?
I don't know. Apparently, there's an elevator. We're supposed to.
Yeah. The elevator has come for us.
Please tell me, do we have any good news this week? Please tell me we have good news.
We do have good news.
We do?
We do.
I'm
Are you almost
excited.
ready to go on to good news?
I'm just
Because we're actually almost there. We're there.
okay.
Um,
I mean, come on. At this point, nobody can order.
it's
nobody
kind
can
of-
order a
but you have
Reuben
to,
anymore because of all the Russian dressing.
you have to take the good news now as being what we would have used to be calling
In comparison to, is that
in
we?
comparison to,
Yeah.
it used to be really shitty news, and now we're like, yes!
Isn't that amazing? How we've had to lower
No,
our
we've had to get to
standards?
Do you have a little, no? Okay, so in our good news, we are actually going to raise our beers tonight and toast to James Comey. And we're going to toast to James Comey because while it isn't required, he actually wrote these memos. And he wrote memos on every single contact he made with Trump. He's been wearing a white hat the entire time. Yes, the us liberals, we did kind of, piss on him for
I mean, we
having
were
the-
angry as hell
but-
about James Comey.
But I honestly think that was another one of the leaks, right? So while we're screaming, while the right is screaming about, oh, they leaked, and on us poor right people, whatever. I think that James Comey honestly did not mean for that email that he sent out to, or that letter he sent out to everybody about looking into Hillary Clinton's emails again. I don't think he honestly meant for that to go public.
Well,
Probably
he
not.
didn't want it to, because he has said in media reports that at that time he had just went before Congress and said,
It's
okay,
done.
if anything else comes along, I will bring it to Congress immediately.
Right.
And then the whole Anthony Weiner situation came out, which Anthony Weiner pled no contest. He didn't pled guilty, but he pled no contest to this situation of online contacting in this affair. Now, once they learned of the computer that had possible information, Comey had already promised that he would go to Congress if there was anything else that happened. So once he made that decision to go to Congress, he had to follow through.
Right.
It just happened to fall at the very worst time for Hillary Clinton.
And I think that it was meant to remain in a closed group. I don't think he purposely meant for it to happen the way it did. So beyond that, maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe he had been given a heads up about Trump. I honestly don't know what caused him, because it isn't required of him.
No, but it's
to
actually
keep notes.
really, really smart because
Really smart.
well, I mean, for instance, I'm very close to someone who every time they have a meeting with their boss, they immediately go back, write notes about the meeting, and they document the meeting.
Documentation.
And then they send a copy of that to the person via email to the person who they had the meeting with, saying this is what I understood to be happening. And usually they either don't answer or they get back yes, that's my understanding. And that way, everybody's on the same page, and there's an official record of the meeting that was had.
Well, however, Comey never submitted this to his superiors, and
Well, he is the superior.
unless he was to talk to the Attorney General, and then, which a lot of conservatives are having a big problem, because he, not 2 weeks before, on May 3rd, he spoke before a congressional hearing, and where they asked him if any member of the Department of Justice, the congressman from Hawaii asked him if any member of the Department of Justice have ever put any kind of pressure on you to end this case. And he said, not to my knowledge. And they said, would
Trump
this
isn't the Department of Justice.
right? And so, if he was keeping memos and files, it is in my belief that he would then be putting together
Need another beer?
putting together a investigation to add to the investigation concerning Donald Trump.
Well, they knew prior to Trump taking office that there was something going on. I mean, that has come out. It's known. I mean, like, they knew things were going on. So the fact that Comey took that and ran with it, and he had the forethought to say, you know, there may come a time when these memos and this documentation are necessary.
Oh, I'm sure, because I mean, even in the letter that Donald Trump sent to James Comey about the dismissal letter, and he mentions that, I thank you so much for informing me three times that I am not under investigation. That makes no sense to me. Why would he mention that you told me 3 times? If that's not putting more pressure on him not to discuss anything. I mean, that is strong-arming a witness now.
It is. And so in these memos specifically, Comey says in his memo, according to the Washington Post, I believe, that it literally says Trump asked him, said to him, I hope you can let this go, in an effort to stop the investigation of Flynn.
I think that legally that's probably iffy wording. I mean, you can take that as a threat, or you can say, I hope that you can. I mean, the thing is that they're going to say it's not a threat. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, and it's going to be, to some extent, is how did Comey perceive that?
Right. If he perceived it, then it could be considered a threat.
Right.
And after having discussions with Donald Trump, I mean, I'm sure the great thing, and probably the best thing to salute our beers to, is that Comey is actually going to volunteering to testify before Congress as a witness
in a public
hearing.
Hearing.
And that's the best part. The public part is the best part. I do wonder if we're getting our hopes up in that he can drop big bombshells, because he can't.
I don't think
he's
we're
still
going to.
He still is under the laws of classified information.
Well, and I have a feeling they're going to be very careful what they question him about exactly. I think that I am concerned that people aren't going to be getting from this what they hope. That they're going to tie his hands.
However, it is one more thing to add to that special, I want to say special prosecutor,
counsel.
But special counsel.
That's a right-wing thing to say. It's a special. It's
It's an investigation by a special prosecutor.
We don't want to make it sound scary.
Yeah, I know. We don't want to make it sound scary.
Or like
at least
something.
At least the Republicans don't want to make it sound
Bad.
scary, because if you say a prosecutor, it's basically saying that he did something wrong.
Right. Well, and people automatically, prosecution.
Right.
So they don't people forget that sometimes it's that a lot of times that comes to nothing too.
But it could be the little bone that needs the dog will hunt, and we may see good things out of this.
Well, okay, so we didn't only raise our beers to James Comey. James Comey has a dad who's 86 years old, and I think I'm in love with the old man.
Go, dude.
Yeah. He made a big statement, and he said, my son's not the nut job. Trump is the nut job. He needs to be locked up. And for that, I think I love him.
Oh.
All right. And that was the good times this week.
That was the good ones. Oh, wait. No, there was one more.
Oh,
there is one more.
Oh, I almost started the music too soon.
You need to not start the music.
All right. I'll pull back.
Because like the Bethune-Cookman University students, Notre Dame, the graduates of Notre Dame, now granted it was only like 1% of the kids that were young adults that were graduating. They not only stood up and turned their backs on Mike Pence, they fucking walked out on him.
They left the building.
They left. Some of them wrapped in rainbow flags. I'm telling you, cheers to you guys. I could not.
I mean, it's awe-inspiring that we are starting to see the resistance build.
We are.
And I mean, so that is something to be happy about. So it's good times. All right, that's our good times for this week. So what else has been happening? Anything happening close to home?
You know how much I hate our tiny Trump governor?
That would be Matt Bevin.
That would be fuck Bevin.
Okay. Matt fuck Bevin.
Nope, you can't. Don't even have. He's fuck Bevin. So fuck Bevin, our tiny Trump dictator governor in training, is still doing his pay-to-play bullshit on this House. So now we know that he has put this person in, and this person paid $240,000 some odd dollars to get into this position, basically, right?
For what
Allegedly, because it hasn't been 100% proven, because that would be illegal.
Anyways, he's in this position. But my biggest problem with Trump is that, or not Trump. Oh my God, they're the same person. I don't get
With
it.
Matt Bevin.
With little fuck Bevin, he is cozying up to Pence, right? He thinks that Pence is the greatest thing in the world. He has every intention of making sure hundreds, thousands of Kentuckians, I wish I had that number again. I want to say it was like 140,000 Kentuckians will be kicked off of the Medicaid, the expanded Medicaid. And he's gleeful about it. He's excited about this. He thinks this is great. But Bevin has these two Twitter accounts, okay? The first Twitter account is his official governor Twitter account. It says Governor Matt Bevin. And
Governor Matt Bevin. Right?
Yes, it's at Governor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't understand. I thought you said Matt, Governor at Matt Bevin, but whatever. The other one is just strictly Matt Bevin, at Matt Bevin. The first one says this is the official site of the governor and blah, blah, blah. And it has typical, this is Kentucky tweets.
It's probably his assistant.
It's a professional site.
It is a professional yes.
account.
The other one is his personal site. However, it kind of, it what's the word I'm looking for? It
intertwines.
It intertwines, yes. So, like, when you go to the at Matt Bevin, you will see pictures of him and Pence, and it'll say, oh, it's great to see my great friend Mike VP again. And it's all about
him cozying up.
Oh, he wants much bigger fish than he wants to be in a much bigger pond than he is currently.
Somebody else can have him. As
However,
long as it's not.
We don't want a forward progression.
No.
We want a outward progression.
Exactly. I want him out. But in his, so everybody has a bio tagline, right?
Right.
His bio tagline, the first thing about him is, it says, Christian, husband, father, veteran. I would love to know what he's a veteran of, but it just says veteran.
I will find out.
Off to Twitter. My problem is that he claims to be this great Christian. Mm-hmm. And he is gleefully kicking people off of Medicaid. And I mean, like, he really purports, oh, I'm such a Christian, I'm pro-life, I will only, we want to adopt as many children as we can.
But what about the young children that will be dying because they are not able to get medical coverage that they once had?
Or their parents are dying.
Right.
He was in the Army. He served 4 years active duty in the U.S. Army, attaining the rank of captain.
Now, I salute his service. Absolutely. However, his service that he is doing for our state now,
I bet he was a fuckboy.
I don't think that
he's awful. So I don't follow him, but I tend to go back and pay attention to what he does. I just go back every now and then and look through his tweets.
Well, first of all, he's only lived in Kentucky since 1999, so it's not like he's not a born and bred
He
Kentuckian.
isn't. In fact, there's rumors, maybe not rumors, but speculation that swirls around. His family owned a business up in New England somewhere.
He was born in Denver, but he was raised in New Hampshire. So.
Right,
New
where
Hampshire.
he owned a business there.
His grandfather owned a business.
A Bell business.
Yes, Bevin Brothers Manufacturing Company.
And it was like
president.
It was several generations back.
Yeah.
Until it burned to the ground.
On his watch, it burns down. He collects the insurance and runs. Moves to Kentucky.
Very
Am
true.
I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in 2011, he assumed the presidency of Bevin Brothers Manufacturing. the last remaining American manufacturer of bells. When Bevan took over the business, which had been in his family since founding in 1832,
Generations, yeah.
was struggling on the verge of closure. Bevan revived the company and restored its profitability.
And then all of a sudden, a mysterious fire happened.
And burned it to the ground.
So,
And somebody got to... So, but anyways, whatever. So...
but he has these 2 Twitter accounts.
He has these 2 Twitter accounts. The first one being the official one, probably run by an aide of some kind.
Sure.
The second one, he tweets shit like, let's see, the first one that really pissed me off.
He has a big problem with the Courier Journal, does he not?
It's worse. He just has a big problem. He's an asshole. So his first tweet really pissed me off. The first tweet that when somebody pointed it out to me, he says, heard there was a wine, WHINE, tasting event for socialists at the Palace Theater tonight in Louisville, hosted by Bernie Sanders and Tom Perez.
You know, I kind of miss the days when politicians had some dignity.
Right.
And
I mean, you used to. I mean, if you think back,
What
there
a
were even radio
fucking
show hosts.
asshole.
I mean, if you think back of when the one morning radio show host started talking about the girls' basketball team at Duke and how he referred to them as men, and he basically he was kicked off of radio, and I mean. There used to be dignity when you went out and spoke publicly.
Right.
But you used to have, there was accountability.
Yes.
However, we are now in this Trumptonian idea that you can say whatever you want to say and not be held accountable for it, no matter what, if it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
I mean, we need to get back to, as a society, being able to be able to respect each other. I mean, we say some tough things about other people as far as politicians. I mean, as Sunny has kept saying, she refers to him as fuck Bevan.
It's because he's a fuckboy.
Well, so there's gigantic irony in the fact that most of the people who keep screaming we need to return to, classic values, we need to turn to American values, we need to return to Christian values, are these people who are tweeting like Matt Bevan, who are tweeting things, who basically that are basically inflammatory and snarky. I mean, how do you look up to someone? How are you, how are you supposed to look up to someone who is supposed to be in a position of power and respect that person if they're not going to give the common decency and respect back?
And politically right now, you have people who are demonizing 2 groups. 1, the Democratic Party, and 2, the media. So, I mean, you have this huge demonization on these 2 groups that is starting to turn the public against them. I mean, there's so much distrust in the media right now that, I mean, hopefully we can overcome this as a society and especially as a country, because we are built upon the idea of free press, and they are supposed to be. I mean, we talked about the different the situation with McCarthy and how what he said, and people held him accountable. If the press can't keep people accountable, anything could happen.
Well, we're also supposed to be able to work together, and all that's happening right now is a greater divide.
Yeah. What about that tweet is saying, let's work this out. Let's see how we can combine efforts and get from point A, where we're at right now, to point B, where we want to be. Instead, this is just being evil to the left. I mean,
well,
I'm probably being hypocritical there because I love to rag on the right.
You've got 2 tweets down here. One says 1.3 billion investment, and then in parentheses, it says one of 4 biggest in Kentucky history, and Courier Journal doesn't even mention it. Exactly why this pathetic joke of a paper is dying.
And then you read the next one, because those 2 tweets actually went together.
Right.
And then he goes on to say, my last tweet will elicit more response from the whiny, lazy, self-proclaimed reporters at the Courier Journal than did the 1.3 investment in Eastern Kentucky.
So rather than either leaving it alone when did politicians get such thin skin? They used to leave this kind of crap alone and, move on. And so you thought, wow, that's a statesman. That's someone who, is presenting a face that, is supposed to represent us as citizens.
Now, I believe this to be a situation that really shows itself of how Bevin is not a native to Kentucky.
Right.
Because, if you've lived here for
Even
any
Mitch
given a
McConnell
time,
doesn't talk like that.
The Courier Journal basically covers what area? Louisville and the northern western side of the state. However, if you're looking at readership and you want to promote that 103,000?
1.3 billion.
1.3 billion jobs in Eastern Kentucky. In Eastern Kentucky, the Herald Leader has far more distribution. And he wants to be critical of a Louisville and Western Kentucky paper.
Well, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Courier Journal is the largest paper in the state of Kentucky.
At this time.
And
however, it does not have the readership in the eastern side of the state.
No, but my point is that it doesn't really matter. He can yell at the Courier Journal. He can yell at the Herald Leader. He can yell at whoever he wants to yell at, apparently. But it's just, it's just tacky.
Right.
It's so, to me, it is so tacky, and it's known. I'm not a Christian. It's okay. But I can't wrap my brain around how at the top of his page he can promote that he is this upstanding Christian, and within the first 3 tweets he's calling people names. I can't wrap my brain around that as a person in his position.
Well, but look at our example. Look what POTUS does. You can't.
And it was totally a diversion.
Oh, it's always pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Well, and
pay
that's
no
part
attention
of
to the man buying the house.
And I was just saying, and that's
area.
part of it is that the Courier Journal is going after him hard about this house.
Well, you know what? That is their job. They're investigative journalists. Their job is to find out why did something happen. They're not making it up. They're following a trail.
Right. They're not a publicity organization.
No, they're trying. And are they trying to discover something? Obviously, or they wouldn't be doing their jobs. And it may come to nothing. And they're aware of that. But he feels like that he's got something breathing down his neck and is not comfortable with how it feels. And it also shows if it was nothing, why wouldn't he walk in the door to the Courier Journal, hand them the records, and go,
This
Here,
is where I'm living.
this is it. If
I'm
you got
living-
nothing to hide, then why are you so freaked out and why are you attacking them? Because you're trying to discredit them because you've done something that you can't be forthcoming on it.
Up, dude.
Yeah. It's just, it's diversion.
It whatever you want to call it. It really pisses. So follow at Matt Bevin on Twitter, and by all means, help him out with some of his comments. Because one thing I did notice, so I also go down the rabbit hole and I look at all of the comments on there, and every now and then, you'll see my name. But about 1 in every 10 tweets that comments from his initial tweet, like specifically the wine tasting one, I would have to say about 1 in every 10 is on Bevin's side. The rest of them are calling him out for his hypocrisy and for not being the statesman, as you put it, not being the statesman that he should be.
Hey, left-minded thinkers and liberals, get out and vote.
That too.
When it comes time for our next elections, don't just yell at Matt Bevin behind your screen. Get out there and show him that he doesn't belong in the State House.
Definitely.
And the whole reason I think that Allison Lundgren Grimes lost it was abortion.
Well, and she couldn't admit that she voted for Obama.
Oh my God, she was a Democrat. Of course she voted for Obama.
We all knew that, but there was also some other issues that she has, and hopefully those have been rectified.
Hey, Sonny, did you vote for Obama?
Yes, I did.
Me too, 2 times. Guess what, Allison? Not that hard.
Yeah.
We all know you did,
right.
and not saying it just makes you look
You know, I think, though, I'm trying to remember back in all of my voting life, I do think there were a few independents once in a while that I voted for, because that's just me.
Oh, I mean, I've been all over the board. I'm not going to say that, there's been times where there's been a bad,
You vote for the best candidate
I
that's
voted
there.
Exactly.
I think I voted for Nader, but I'm not sure.
But folks,
talk
make sure
about
you
that
follow. Make sure you're following
On that note.
Governor Matt Bevin and at Matt Bevin. Give them hell. Give them your opinions.
please do.
And let's also give a shout out for the Courier Journal, who are doing their job, and the folks at the Herald Leader, who are also investigative reporters and doing their job, as well as the TV crews
That's right.
throughout the state.
Leave the media alone.
Yeah, let them do their job. I mean, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you like it, great. If you don't, you have to suck it up and deal with it. That's how it is. Because you know what? If you're going to cry fake news and whine and moan about
There is fake news out there. I mean,
Oh,
like, we do know
absolutely,
of
this.
course.
absolutely. Well, and the other thing is that they're large proponents of it too. They've gotten on the Russian propaganda bandwagon, and they've allowed a lot of this crap to infiltrate us too. I mean, boy, I just sound like a conspiracy theorist. Infiltrate us.
Here's your
Certain-
tinfoil
Doesn't this
hat.
whole thing, but doesn't everything about this Russia shit, I mean, like, this is everything that every conspiracy theory was ever built off of when we were little kids. Because we're all little 1980s
Oh,
little
of course.
kids.
Okay, and by the way, the way I was going about that is that they've proven that all of these bots are, a lot of these bots are out of Russia that are controlling content that is seen on Facebook and Twitter.
And Twitter.
So that's where that came from. I really don't need a tinfoil hat unless
So
Yes,
okay.
you do.
Well, moving on.
I make it look
what do we have coming up? What's coming up on our calendar this week?
Really,
we have
all
Monday.
we really have on the calendar this week is Monday Nights for Rights at Mellow Mushroom downtown. Don't ask me the street name.
Okay, it's on Upper Street.
It's on Upper Street. We will.
Upper and Pine.
Our goal is to be outside on the picnic tables because I just want to be outside. I'm tired of being inside.
But if we have too
If
many people or
we
if it
have
rains,
rain-
we'll be inside.
We will be inside. Look for us. We provide you with the postcards. We take the postcards and we will mail
We'll mail them
them
off and we'll take care of you.
And I will also
We
set
just
you up-
need your opinions.
I will also set you up on ResistBot. It's been running slow lately. Don't give up on it. And this is a note to Senator Rand Paul. Turn your fucking fax machine back on.
we know that they brought you one.
In
Yeah.
ink.
And I don't know if they did or not. I know
It said that there was going to be ink and paper
I
provided.
know that
Wow.
a GoFundMe campaign successfully closed to purchase a fax machine for Rand Paul. I don't know if they've delivered or not.
Turn the fucking machine on.
Well, I'm wondering
Listen
if
to
that's
your
why.
constituents.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm wondering if that's why ResistBot's having so many problems, though, that so many people are following suit. And they're not going to tell you that they're turning it off,
Right.
obviously. So.
Oh, we're saving the government money.
I do know that
That's what his excuse
that's
was.
what's his excuse. I do know that McConnell and Barr, they are. I do get return receipts for their faxes.
So if you don't use ResistBot, come out. We'll teach you how to use it.
So easy.
We'll get you some postcards. We'll have everything that you need. Come on out, enjoy some pizza. School's out. Bring the kids. We'll have a good time. Also, we said we have the joint meeting of TWW, Our Revolution, Indivisible, Bluegrass, and the Kentucky National Organization of Women.
And together,
And
Frankfurt.
together Frankfurt.
I was trying to get you.
I got 4, and I'm like,
I was
okay.
going. Come on.
4 out of
come on.
5.
So, and shortly after that, on the 3rd, we'll have the March for Truth.
I'm kind of excited about that.
So there is a little bit of stuff going on. So
And then the weekend after that is the Pride Parade.
Yep.
Yay!
Yay, Pride Parade. All right. Well, that does it for this week. We're going to go out. And before we go, we just want to let you know that the resistance is real. The resistance is working. And the resistance needs you. So that does it for this week. We hope that you'll join us next week. And we'll have more. It's going to be a live version from the joint meeting of TWW, Our Revolution, Indivisible, Bluegrass, and the National Organization of Women in Kentucky, as well as Kentucky Frankfort. Look forward to seeing you guys, or at least have you listening to us there. So it's going to be a good time. Hopefully you make it out. We're going to end the show with Nina Simone with Revolution.
Maybe we'll do
Hope you enjoy it. See you next week.
Hey, we're in the middle of a revolution, because I see the face of things to come. Yes, I do. Oh, your Constitution